Hello, thank you for clicking on this video. Today I'm going to be talking about 3D printing, 3D modeling, sculpting, painting, a little bit of everything. And if you're new here, my name is Nicole. I love being creative, and this is kind of like my outlet where I show you guys what I create. I show you how I mess up, what I've learned, and we kind of roll together, you know? So thank you for joining me today. I just want to make a quick little message out to you guys. I am so thankful because I've reached 1,000 subscribers, and in the YouTube world, that is a milestone. So I'm so happy that I got to that achievement, and it's all thanks to you guys. Thank you for liking, subscribing, sharing, and your very positive, kind comments. They really go a long way. But without babbling too much, we'll get on to the video. So you probably saw in the thumbnail that I have painted a Medusa figurine, and I really love this print. When I saw it, I did not create this model. It is absolutely beautiful. I saw it on Etsy, and when I saw it, it was actually the full body of the Medusa with the bust and the legs, and she was wearing just like a really flowy dress. Bust had obviously was very enlarged for the top half of her body, so the details just popped, and that's what kind of drew me to printing this, because you see the textures of the snakes, you see the textures of the skin and the dress. A beautiful overall print, and this was printed on the Elegoo, and it is amazing. The quality is amazing. The resin was great. It just popped, and I was so excited to paint it, and I wasn't sure what colorway I should go towards. I was first initially thinking like reds and black and kind of like scary features, but then I'm like, oh well, you know, Medusa appears to be feminine and beautiful, but then she has that other side where she turns men into stone. For the most part, I've been really enjoying sculpting. I'm going to be talking more about this next week, but I printed out a little dog that I created in Nomad Sculpt, and I am still super new to sculpting, but I'm always tinkering around, especially on my iPad, because it's so easy to take around with you. I take it to work, I use it, or like I'll always have it in my bag, and if I'm waiting for an appointment or whatever, I'll always have it on me, and I can pull it out and kind of continue on with my project, which is one of the best things. So next week I'm gonna show you a little bit of my process, my workflow of how I created this dog, and I'm also gonna airbrush it like I did with Medusa, so you'll see a little bit about that. So I'm not quite done with the Medusa yet. I have most of the baseline done, but there is a lot of shading, there is a lot of blending that needs to be done. There are a lot of rough, raggedy lines, a lot of harsh lines, and places that aren't blended, like the back here, there's a lot of like paint. So I'm gonna clean it up, I'm gonna perfect it, and then I will jump back on and show you guys. But this is definitely a new hobby, and I know this is a really big thing on YouTube. I see people 3D printing and painting little characters and warhammers and stuff like that. This is something I'm really gonna dabble into, and right now I'm printing models that I purchased. However, I want to get to the point where I'm making stuff like this. Like, this is so beautiful. You see the intricate details on the crown, the snakes all around, and mind you, I'm not done this. Texturing on the dress, the necklace, like the face, everything is just so beautiful, and I aspire to be able to create stuff like this so I can make kits and share it with you guys and stuff like that. This was hollowed out. It's not a solid model, so it kind of reduced the amount of resin needed to print. And I also printed it on a 45-degree angle about, and I had the majority of the support structures on the back of the model, so you can kind of see the little bumps. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. But this hole over here is actually for a stand, so this stands up, And yeah, overall I love this model. I'll link it below. I've talked about these paints a couple of times in my previous videos, and I actually, if you can see the little mermaid there in the back, that was laser engraved with the snap maker, and I painted using these amazing paints, the Army Painter Mega Paint Set. And I've had this for, I'd say a year, about a year. They work amazingly. They come in small bottles like these, but they last a really long time. You would think like, oh, I'll only be able to use them a few times and then I have to throw them out. No, like these are great. You only need a little bit of paint and it's super pigmented. It's probably the most pigmented, smoothest, lightweight paint that I've ever used, which is so perfect for this kind of application because you don't want to have to use a lot of paint or go and like pile on layers just to get that pigmentation. So it's perfect. And even for blending, if you want to lighten the color or mix a couple colors, they blend so nicely. So 10 out of 10 recommend these. You can also buy, I think, them individually, but I'm not quite sure. I know they come in different sets, and they also have a set of paintbrushes, which are awesome. I do recommend this set as well because you get really thin, pointy brushes that really help you get into those little spots that are difficult with larger brushes. Another cool thing that I used, which is also by the same company, the Army Painter, I believe this is called a wet palette, but I'm not 100% sure. So how it works is you can remove that and put your paintbrushes to kind of like set or dry or whatever. And the second layer is something like this. So you see all the colors that I used. But this is a sheet just on top. You can remove that, as you can see, and you have this like padding on the bottom that you would actually wet, so it stays moist and it actually keeps your paints from drying up. So if you mix a certain color and let's say, oh, I gotta run out and go get something or run an errand and come back, your paint will still be fresh. And I've left this overnight, I've left this over a couple of days, even over a week, and it still stayed kind of tacky. So you can add some moisture and kind of revive the paint. Whereas if you're just using a palette and it oxidized, you cannot reuse that paint. It's solid, it's done. This helps you use less paint, amping up the cleanliness because you have it all in a compact little case, you know, preserving your paints. Especially if you do pay for this set, it's not cheap, but it is an investment that is well worth it if you want to continue this hobby. For the most part, I am super happy with how the whole procedure has gone so far. I am potentially looking at getting a new 3D printer. I do have the Mars 2 Pro over there, but it is a 2K printer, and now 8K is becoming the new thing, and the surface quality, the textures, the overall look of the prints have gotten substantially better since last year when I bought the 2 Pro. And the new Elegoo printers, they just look amazing. Like, I'm also gonna post a little quick tutorial on how I slice in Chitubox. I feel like a year ago when I started, I was so confused on how to use it because I was so used to FDM, and when I switched over to resin printing, I was super confused on where do I put supports? Like, is it the same? Do I have to kind of center it on the middle of the build plate and just kind of like compensate for the overhangs? It is completely different. So if you're new to resin printing, you can stay tuned to that video because I will show you how to set yourself up for a successful print. And obviously, even if you're experienced, you will have some failures. It happens. You're dealing with different geometries, you're printing different objects, so sometimes you would forget a certain step, or you don't realize that this is a necessity. So the more experienced you are, the less mistakes you'll make, but sometimes they still do happen because a lot about 3D printing is trial and error, especially when you're doing very complex models. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up and please consider subscribing. I am going to be posting a lot more painting videos and 3D printing related videos, so if that's something that interests you, follow along on my journey. Next week, I'm going to show you how I sculpted this little puppy dog and how you can do it yourself, and tips and tricks in Nomad. And I'm gonna also paint this so you can see the final product. Right now it's just gray. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful week or weekend, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
We